Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Are you feeling charitable? Then smash the subscribe button and the like button, and please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Today we're doing a really exciting thing. Well, I think it's extremely exciting. We are comparing the first 7 movies from the DCEU and with the first 7 movies of the MCU. So shall we start? Right. Man of Steel versus Batman. What am I talking about? Batman and Superman, Man of Steel in the same franchise. Start again. Man of Steel versus Iron Man. So. Let's go. Now, I actually like Iron Man. I think it was a great first step into the MCU, considering they were smart enough to have Nick Fury in the post-credit scene as well. It was the beginning of a big franchise. I thought Robert Downey Jr. was magnificent. I thought Gwyneth Paltrow was brilliant with him. And I actually think that they had in, is it Obadiah Staines or whatever you call him, right? Jeff Bridges, who's one of my favourite actors of all time. Great actor. I thought he was probably one of the better villains in the MCU movies. A lot of people didn't like Jeff's villain in the first Iron Man. I thought he was pretty brilliant and pretty ruthless. So I think it's a really good film. But then we talk about Man of Steel. Man of Steel is an adrenaline rush from start to finish. We start on Krypton. We've got Russell Crowe's Jor-El, who's intelligent, but also can fight. He fights Michael Shannon's brilliant villain, one of the best villains in superhero, genre history. And we start on Krypton. It's exciting. It looks stunning. And then we see Clark as an adult on Earth. And then we see flashbacks to Smallville. And the Superman action, the first flight, is an adrenaline rush. There is no question what the better film is for me. Man of Steel is leaps and bounds better than Iron Man. But I do like Iron Man, and I think Robert Downey Jr. was really good casting for that movie. But for me, it's pretty simple. Man of Steel wins every time. Right, what we got next? Batman versus Superman versus The Incredible Hulk. This is the order of MCU movies in production, right? So Incredible Hulk was actually the next movie. So let's talk about these 2 movies, right? Now, I actually quite like The Incredible Hulk. It didn't do the box office or get the critical response that they wanted. But I think The Incredible Hulk movie is a really good, solid entrance. But then again, I really like Ang Lee's Hulk as well. So I think Ed Norton is a great Bruce Banner. I thought Liv Tyler was brilliant. I thought the whole film was brilliant. And it really worked for me. I thought the CG on the Hulk was beautiful. And it was a really good film. I think it could have been better, but I still think it was a really good film. And I really enjoyed it. But when you bring in Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition, it is leaps and bounds better. Like Man of Steel, look, again, you're comparing kind of something very different because, both Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman take some real risks in this genre. They do not play it safe. They make very important commentary in the real world and, bring in these real world issues. And Batman versus Superman really is so important when we look at Black Lives Matter now. People don't trust Superman. And Lex Luthor uses that mistrust because of the Battle of Metropolis and because of the Battle of Smallville in Man of Steel. And he kind of manipulates the public. And he manipulates Bruce Wayne, a.k.a. Batman, against Superman. It's an extraordinary film because you get all these fleshing out of these characters. You get this manipulation from Lex Luthor. Then you get this awesome CG battle. Superman, Wonder Woman and Batman versus Doomsday. It looks brilliant. It feels brilliant. And then you get that brilliant sacrifice from Superman. And it finishes in a very somber way. Now, I know people don't like that. They don't want a Superman to be somber. But a lot of people really enjoyed this movie. Again, Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice didn't get a great critical response. In fact, the critical response is really negative. But for me personally, Batman vs Superman is a film of epic proportions. In terms of Incredible Hulk, it's an okay film, nothing more. I would have loved to have seen more of Ed Norton's Hulk. It didn't happen because unfortunately Kevin Feige doesn't like people, actors with their own ideas, and especially he doesn't like directors with their own ideas. But for me, Batman vs Superman is one of the best films ever made. There's films I hold in high regard, but absolutely, this film, as I say, takes so many risks, and it's absolutely sensational. Ben Affleck is a brilliant Bruce Wayne and Batman, and he's so intense, and he's so angry. And the idea of this film is that his hatred isn't really about Superman. It's more about everything else. He's lost Robin. He's lost so much. He's an older Batman. He's a grittier Batman. He's an angrier Batman. It's such a good film, and if you haven't seen it because of what everyone says about it, you should at least, give it the credit it deserves. Zack Snyder, Chris Terrio, David Goyer again did a great job, and yes, a brilliant movie and much better than The Incredible Hulk. Right, this is interesting. David Ayer's Suicide Squad, well, if you can call it that, is it his cut, is it not his cut? Who knows? Versus Iron Man 2. This is really easy for me because I am a fan of the first Iron Man film, and what disappointed me was Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is a terrible sequel to the first Iron Man. It's watered down. There's too much humour. It's disappointing. It was great to see Black Widow and Fury play a larger role because they were really, really kind of expanding the franchise. And, it was really early days. I mean, Kevin Feige admitted himself they had really big problems at the beginning of the MCU. Iron Man 2 was a major, major disappointment. A dull villain. Yes, Robert Downey Jr. and Gwyneth Paltrow did their best. They did brilliantly. The issue wasn't with them. There were some good things in it. But I'm sorry, Iron Man 2 I found it boring. For me, Iron Man 2 is an extremely boring movie. Now, my first experience of Suicide Squad was one of disappointment, and mainly because, I shouldn't admit this, but I watched a bootleg copy. But when I actually saw the proper version of Suicide Squad, I really enjoyed it because this film really does continue straight off the bat from Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice. This is, now, what's kind of interesting about Iron Man 2, you do kind of have this whole kind of post-credit scene with Robert Downey Jr. and General Ross in the bar, which is great because that's kind of leading in from The Incredible Hulk, and that's great. But you don't get none of that within the film. But from the off of Suicide Squad, Waller's talking about Superman. Superman changed the world when he flew across the sky. He changed it again when he didn't. That's a brilliant lead into a film. It's a continuation. It's interconnected. And if these idiots didn't interfere with Zack's vision, we would have got more. And now we are going to get more. But it was a big fight, wasn't it, everyone? Yet Suicide Squad really fleshes out its characters brilliantly. My favourite two characters in this film are definitely Harley Quinn and Will Smith's Deadshot. I thought they both did brilliant. Will Smith doesn't get enough credit. Jared Leto's Joker, I like him, but I didn't see enough of him, and I will need to see the Ayer cut to really garner if I truly, truly like this version of the Joker. But yes, Suicide Squad is definitely a better film than Iron Man 2. Isn't this a comparison to make? The first Thor movie, right, against the first Wonder Woman movie. Wow, wow, wow. Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Now, again, a lot of people don't like the first Thor movie. I thought it was really good. And I thought it was beautifully directed. It looks brilliant. And I thought Chris did a great job. And I actually really, really enjoyed that film. But let's cut the crap here. Wonder Woman is one of the best comic book movies ever made. It's so enjoyable. It's got this beautiful commentary. It's got this beautiful aesthetic. And when we first meet Diana on Themyscira, you can see that this character, there's a secret about her. You know, she is the God killer, but she thinks the God killer is actually the sword, which she covets, which she wants. And then she meets Steve Trevor. Chris Pine has great quality. He really adds to this film. But Patty Jenkins does a really good job. It's a beautiful script. The music is beautiful. It's emotionally an uplifting film. And I really did enjoy it. Well, Gal Gadot is wonderful as Diana, a.k.a. Wonder Woman. Of course, we never hear the word Wonder Woman. We haven't heard the word Wonder Woman in the DCEU yet. That needs to change. I hope that does change in Wonder Woman 84. And hopefully in Justice League they call her Wonder Woman. But of course, we will see. Now, Mr. Inspiring Comic Book, Joss Whedon himself didn't even call her Wonder Woman. Now, that surprises me from the angle that Jeff Johns and DC Entertainment were coming from. I would have thought that's one thing I don't like, that they haven't called her Wonder Woman yet. But anyway, Wonder Woman is a really good film. The action choreography is absolutely stunning. When she goes and walks out to the trenches and they're all shooting at her, and No Man's Land, it's one of the best scenes in film history. Yes, there's no question about it. Wonder Woman is better than the first Thor movie. Aquaman versus Captain America, the First Avenger. Now, these are the first films for both of these characters. These are kind of origin stories. I suppose it's an origin story, Aquaman, but we've already seen him in Justice League. But let me be clear here. I'm not counting Justice League in this countdown because Justice League, as far as I'm concerned, hasn't been seen yet. That's Zack Snyder's Justice League, so we're jumping that film. So, which is the better film? Now, this is interesting for me because I really like Chris Evans and I love him as Captain America, and I actually think Captain America, the First Avenger, is a really, really good film. I thoroughly enjoyed that film. I think similar to Wonder Woman, it's a really, really, an emotionally uplifting film where you really do believe and embrace the central character, the central superhero. But I do prefer Aquaman. Again, I could be biased with my DCEU fandom, but I think Aquaman has it all. It already helps that we got to know him in Justice League, but Jason Momoa is got great quality, and it's a great film. James Wan does an epic job with this film. It looks fabulous. The experimental effects underwater, beautiful, stunning. But the commentary of a man who doesn't know where he should belong, what he should embrace. He's a man of two worlds. He's like me, born in the UK with Greek Cypriot parents. And that commentary really sang to me and called to me. It's an epic film. And again, we get a really good, great villain in the DCEU. Patrick Wilson's Orm is one of the best in the franchise. And I enjoyed the whole film. I thought William Dafoe was fantastic. William Dafoe is always fantastic. His second CBM, of course, he was Norman Osborn in Raimi's Spider-Man, which he was amazing again. But this time, he's a mentor to Aquaman. And he plays brilliantly alongside Jason Momoa. I thought Amber Heard was really good as Mira as well. I don't think she's the most gifted actor, but she did a good job. She looks fantastic. I hope she's in the second one, but who knows? But Aquaman has so many qualities. There's some beautiful fight scenes, and I just enjoyed the whole thing. I love the opening sequence on the submarine as well. If you love Jason Momoa, you love him playing Aquaman, you're going to love this film. This film is amazing, and it's much better than... What film was I comparing it to? I forgot already. Oh, Captain America. My memory's crap, innit? Yeah, it's much better than Captain America, but I really do like Captain America, the First Avenger. Again, a lot of Marvel fans didn't like it at first glance, and that kind of surprises me because I think it's a really good film. Anyway, moving on. Oh, this is not a fair comparison, no, is it? This really isn't. Shazam versus Avengers Assemble, the first Avengers film. Wow. So, what are we going to do with this then? Well, you can either kind of compare Avengers with Justice League, or you can compare Avengers to Shazam. It really doesn't matter. I really like Shazam. I think it's a great film. It's nowhere near the quality of the previous films, but I enjoyed it. It was fun. It had some darkness in it. I thought we had a really, really great character in terms of the villain. I thought Zachary Levi was brilliant. I thought the young man playing the younger version was brilliant as well. David F. Sandberg directs a beautiful movie. The only thing I don't like is the fake Superman at the end, because you can't have Cavill or you haven't cast somebody new. Don't bother to do it. But I really do like Shazam. It's a good film, but at the end of the day, the first Avengers film, it doesn't matter where your kind of loyalty sits, is much better than Shazam. It's much better, regrettably, than Justice League. It's a really good film. And Avengers Assemble is the reason the MCU became so successful, because before that, there was a lot of grunts and groans about the MCU, but that film changed everything. It's a brilliant CBM, it's a groundbreaking CBM, and it's much better than Shazam. There's no question about that. What do we do here? So Iron Man 3 is the 7th MCU movie, and because I'm just missing Justice League, this is the 7th. I think it's the 7th anyway. Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey versus Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3, the trailers and the marketing looked very compelling. It looked a dark film. It looked really interesting. But when I went to see it, the action was brilliant. It was really funny. But it wasn't. What they did with the Mandarin was outrageous. And a lot of MCU fans hated it. And the only reason it got a pass from critics, really, is because everyone was still reeling off the hype and energy from the first Avengers film, which was brilliant, right? Now, in terms of Birds of Prey, there are some really good moments in this film, but you'd have to have a big sense of humour to say it's better than Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 may have its issues, but it's a really, really good, fun, entertaining film. I even think that Guy Pearce plays a really good villain in it as well. Again, not the strongest of villains, but the MCU have struggled with villains, and I don't know why. They just don't see the villains as a very important part, which is disappointing, because for me, it's very, very, very important. But, you know, Birds of Prey was going to be this big movie. Harley Quinn was very popular in David Ayer's Suicide Squad. People were crediting Margot Robbie's performance for the big box office that Suicide Squad did, but it's obvious that the big Suicide Squad box office had a little bit to do with Will Smith. He's one of the most popular actors in world cinema right now, so he had a lot to do with it as well. And it just shows that no matter how popular you are, and Margot as Harley is very popular, that film made a very little profit, and I'm sure they were expecting a lot more. The film itself is good. It has some good moments. It's good. But they spend half the film whining about men and toxic masculinity, and that's a shame. That spoils the film. It's a hard watch because of that reason. It's not a bad film. It's a good film, and nothing more than that. And Iron Man 3 is leaps and bounds better than it. But it's not just about my opinion. Comment down below and let me know. Do you agree with my comments about the comparisons between the first 7 MCU and DCEU movies, or do you think I got it wrong? And sometimes, once or twice a year, I am wrong. So you should definitely put your opinion down below. Just before I go, I'm noticing that some Snyder fanboys, and I'm a big Snyder fan, especially of his DC movies, are really going at Wonder Woman 84 negatively, really attacking that film. That's really disappointing. I've seen 90 minutes of it. You've seen 0 minutes of it. You're really going to like it. Give it a chance. You may have issues because Jeff Johns is heavily involved in the film, or you may not like the fact that she doesn't use a sword, but I can promise you, it's a really good, epic film, really different to the first Wonder Woman, and just because they're saying it doesn't feel like a sequel, it doesn't matter. It's a really good film, and you really, really need to give it a chance. And if I see you on Twitter putting this film down before you've seen it, you will inhale my wrath. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DC Daily. See you again soon.